The rise in popularity of remote work has allowed employers to cast a wider net in terms of who they hire. For example, some have even gone so far as to hire employees in different countries. While this can be very advantageous for some businesses, it does pose a few challenges, primarily in regards to human resources. I'm Skye Schooley, a staff writer with business.com, and to gain some expert insight on this topic, today I'm joined by Matt Redler. He is the CEO and co-founder of Panther, which is a platform that helps simplify global employment. Hey, Matt, thank you for joining me today. As you're well aware, today we're talking about global remote employment. And so to get us started as a jumping off point, what are some of the biggest challenges when managing a remote workforce that is global?
I think that there's a number of things. Number one is probably the actual setup to be able to have the legal and kind of financial infrastructure to hire people all over the world. The short version of what you have to do is in every single country, you have to have a foreign subsidiary set up over there. You need a local bank account. You need to figure out all the local employment laws and ultimately determine how you're going to do payroll, HR, accounting, and legal in that country. And so kind of next step, once you are set up, is like, how do you actually avoid breaking all of the laws in all of these jurisdictions where things are incredibly unique? Maybe the last tricky thing that I want to mention is in every single country, you need to essentially have a local CEO who runs your entity over there. And there's just a lot of risk and responsibility that is given to that person who's representing your company to that government.
Awesome. So I guess to go forward in terms of, I think you had mentioned infrastructure, legal compliance, a local CEO, how can employers overcome these challenges? What are some actionable steps that they can take?
I think it really comes down to two options. Option number one would be hiring the best in class accounting, legal, HR, and payroll firms, again, in every single jurisdiction that you enter. And so what that means is you're going to have to work with a ton of vendors, and you're going to have to replicate this for every single country that you hire people from. The challenging part about the solution is that to do it right, it takes months if you're really, really lucky, and years if you're not so lucky or maybe just average. The second way to go about this would be to use Panther, which is a way to just hire anyone, anywhere in the world in a click. For context, that is my company, and how it essentially works is we have our own international subsidiary set up all around the world on behalf of our customers so that companies don't need their own, and we just handle all the tricky bits.
That is great. And so I guess in terms of maybe managing legal compliance specifically, for example, maybe foreign tax laws, compliance, employee benefits, things of that nature, how can employers kind of instill best practices?
Okay, best practices is possible. Avoiding breaking any compliance anywhere is tricky or even next to impossible if you're doing this on your own. You've got different laws in every jurisdiction, from payments law to payroll law to employment law to various laws changing all the time that you got to keep up with, and filings with the government and all these kind of fun, exciting things. And so my best advice there would be to basically find a trusted partner that eats, sleeps, and breathes global payroll and employment to handle all that kind of stuff.
And so going forward, did you have any kind of final advice for employers who are maybe trying to expand to a global workforce, maybe for the first time?
I think I have three pieces of advice. The first one would be not to go into it with the mindset of going country by country, meaning, for example, going into Canada or Germany and saying, okay, who can we hire here? That's quite limiting. But instead, if you are hiring remote, you have the incredible advantage of opening your doors on your careers page and just working with the best people on the planet who apply for every position. And so I would go into it with that mindset, kind of people first over location first, and then wherever they happen to live, you get to work with them. My second piece of advice would be to try and work as close to asynchronously as possible. And what I mean by that is meetings should not be the default way to figure out any problem. You should first try and use whether it's written documentation or chat via something like Slack, or even recorded asynchronous videos that you can quickly record what you wanted to say and send off a link to somebody using a great tool like Loom, for example, or Yak, which we love. That allows you to work efficiently throughout the day, allow people to work whenever they're most efficient is the wrong word here, but at their peak, right? So I'm a night hawk. So even though everybody's working there, 9 to 5 or whenever works for them, like I love to work when the world sleeps. Some people love to go in the gym in the middle of the day and then they're recharged for the second half. So working asynchronously allows companies to recognize that people are human, right? And have everybody work in the best way that they can. And my last piece of advice would be just acknowledging that in this new kind of way of working and living, that being in person for a small part of the time is still really nice. And so I think it's important for remote organizations to 1 to 10% of the time get together. And I think that time should be spent on 3 specific things. Number 1 is hard decisions. Number 2 is giving each other feedback. And number 3 is informal communication. So think about hanging out and breaking bread. And so at Panther, for example, we do company-wide retreats twice a year. Post-COVID, we've got our January one in Tulum that we're very excited about. But yeah, so know that remote is not binary and that you could still see one another. I happen to be in Greece right now visiting some of my teammates. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Well, thank you. That was all very insightful, and I appreciate you taking out the time out of your day. What time is it over in Greece right now?
It is 8 p.m., but in my head it says like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., something like that.
Awesome. We love it. Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join me, Matt.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.